what Gary Minsberg said, and everybody be like, "Wow, oh my God, it's." I never thought about this.
Mm,
You are middle JavaScript developer. Here is the
mm.
top 20 soft skills you need, and you'll be like, I need all of it: leadership, humble leadership, like a coaching,
Yeah,
mentoring, and
yeah.
other stuff. Come on, we have so many shitty technical interviews when there's someone with the list of checkboxes, completely irrelevant, completely out of this reality. Just checks. As you may imagine, I like to talk with people, and because beer is the best lubricant for a conversation, I can be a little bit annoying in a bar. If I'm lonely, I can annoy a lot of people. I did
When
that in US. It's easier because people more often. In, let's say, more like a Slavic countries, it's not that often. In Portugal, people are easygoing and they jump into conversation pretty easily. It's
okay.
southern country, yeah.
That's great. That leads us some kind of to the topic of our today's conversation:
Yes.
soft skills versus hard skills, or
Oh,
how you're gonna find it on the cover. It's like soft skills are overrated, but basically, I wanted to figure what is the right balance of like soft skills versus hard skills, and what do you need to focus on, basically in different steps of your career, and so on.
first of all, soft skills are overrated. There is a Henry Minsberg, really famous guy, management world knows about him everything. He wrote a lot of books. I would recommend to read all of them. I believe he's like in his 90s or so. He is a professor in Canada University, Toronto. So in 80s, he wrote like revolutionary thought, revolutionary things. So previously, people thought that management is easy. You just learn some stuff in the book, you got MBA, you got whatever education you need, and bam, that's it. You are manager. What Gary Minsberg said, and everybody be like, "Wow, oh my God, it's." I never thought about this. That you need three things to be a great manager, and it can kick off our conversation now, but we can discuss it. So, three things that you need. First of all, is education. Yes, not to repeat others' mistake, and to learn from that. You need to read some books because books are it's the knowledge accumulated over the years. You are not the smartest person over the generations, so probably you need to learn something. That's one thing. Side note that management books are usually one interesting idea per book, and that's it. Second thing you need is experience, because there are plenty of things that are far beyond the book's knowledge. It's like a reality, and as a managers, we need some reality check from time to time, because in the books, agile in the book is the one thing, Scrum in the book is the different thing, and the reality is completely different. And third one is your personal skills, and skills you can gain, you can learn them, you can get them, or you can born with them. It's easy to speak to me, like public conversations or anyone else. Good managers, they need the skill, but they can work on that. These three things are needed for managers, but we can like a shift. There are some people who are really smart from books and they read a lot, they have this knowledge, and so you need to be good, and to be exceptional you need three. So some people are really experienced and they have good skills. I don't like management books, I don't like soft skills books or whatever, because I don't know, it's just they don't work for me. So you need these two things. I have experience and skills. With some I born, with some I developed, but books are not for me. Some people, they can read books and they have great personal skills, and they can also be great managers. So basically, why soft skills are overrated? Because I see like the common tribal knowledge everywhere in the books. You need only soft skills, and that's it. But actually, you need three things.
What is the conclusion? It's just read books or don't read books, or figure out what you have already and work on the rest.
Soft skills per se, it's more of a hype, Twitter, whatever, LinkedIn stuff, because nobody knows what they are, because in each company, in each environment, they different. There are super corporate environment where your charisma and your ability to pursue people is limited by your level. In a super corporate environment, you may be super good in persuading some stuff, but if you are junior manager level one, it's probably will be complicated to have a great effect. But on the other hand, in the startup environment, your personal skills can do a lot of stuff and you can achieve a lot of stuff. So with the skills, it's a complicated thing because in environment they are different, and also you can get a lot from your experience if you are manager or just you work in tech for 10 years 20 years. You can get this just by working. If you stay in the environment long enough, you learn. So long story
If you learn and work on your feedback.
that's true. So because you can be stupid for 10 years and not realizing that you are the same
Uh,
level.
exactly.
But it's what I'm saying now, it's a bit controversial in sense of people. We have this title of this show is that they are overrated. And it is a bit hot facts and
To
clickbait,
provoke
it's
purpose.
provocative. But I see, like from my career, and I'm coaching and mentoring people, I see how people think that being a developer is okay. You need to read algorithms, you need some other stuff, and that's it. Bam, you are a programmer. Actually, in the real life, it's more complicated. And the same with the management and soft skills. Things that are in the books, they may be different from the real life. And let's say, okay, maybe in each and every book, they say to be proactive. But in some environment, people can think that, oh, this little bugger again, like asking questions on the meeting, and it may be against you. So
Do you have a story, an example of such a person
I,
or
ha-
somebody?
I actually have in one of my jobs, like a far away, no names, of course. I have the person who thought that he is really skilled and really proactive, and he was always everywhere. Each meeting, each conversation, he was, and he also read a lot of books and a lot of text and everything. And he thought that no, he knows everything, and he was everywhere. But the problem is that when you think that you are smartest person in the room, first of all, it's probably not like that. And when you giving some advice or something, you need to, in the corporate environment and like in any work environment, you should need to push it. Because let's say, okay, our code quality is bad, something wrong, completely wrong. One guy came saying, guys, CI/CD is bad, code review is bad, we don't have tests, we don't have other stuff, so everything is bad, we need to work on that. And this we need to work on that, it's not concrete. It's not showing who's going to work, and it's not a plan, it's just okay, it's some advice. And usually people who offer a lot of advice, people who offer who is everywhere, they not great executors.
Yeah, that's basically complaining about the problems all the time and not bringing any solutions.
Exactly. And solutions are not only because most of the time, people, when we have a problem for years, people know how to solve it. They just, A, don't have resources, B, they don't have enough will to
Mm.
do it because some of the processes you have to push them for months, years to change stuff. And you need to have guts, you need to have, sorry, balls in the figural stuff to do stuff, to execute. Yeah, so that's why I think that soft skills per se, without knowing the environment, knowing the need, and knowing the individual skills, it's useless. Because it's, come on, we have so many shitty technical interviews when there's someone with the list of check boxes, completely irrelevant, completely out of this reality. Just checks, okay, we need algorithms, maybe we don't need them. B, we need knowledge of system design and other stuff. Maybe this person gonna work as a junior or a CSS developer or something. So there's like a checklist. Same with the soft skills. If you know that in your environment, in your company, you need this profile of management. Example again, not to because I tend to talk about theoretical stuff. My environment, startup, blurred borders between functions. So people do QA and code and all the stuff because it's a small startup, like 50 people. And I need someone who can work without instructions, who will be independent, who will be senior enough to get work if they don't have work, someone who can go to business and ask questions or maybe even offer questions. So someone who can, if we're talking about engineers, someone who can do stuff beyond engineering. That's what I need, and that's what I'm looking for. If I would try to, I worked in the Dell Corporation, for example, before. If I try to map the same thing to that environment, completely irrelevant. Strict borders between the functions, strict borders where the business is, where the engineering is. It's a corporate environment. They call it enterprise environment for a reason. You have your own silo, and you could not go beyond it. So it's all different.
Okay, so basically, we need to understand who we're looking for and then map the skills that we require from the person and cautiously check for them rather than just applying some general profile just because.
Exactly, and the same like vice versa, because many people in the field they ask, okay, how can I grow as a manager or as a like engineer or just a employee? How can I grow? I know that in this book they said that I need to know this thing or I should work on that thing. There are some books that are maybe completely relevant for some people. There is a book, Never Eat Alone, and it's about or never lunch alone or something.
I think I read that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something. So I mean, there is like more American model of stuff to get to people and other stuff. It may be completely relevant in some or heavy Eastern Slavic companies. And the problem is that as now people getting lost in frameworks, in the languages, they saying, okay, should I learn Rust, Zeek, or what's the newest stuff, or how to whatever. Same happens with the soft skills. Same happens with any other type of skills. There are like several universal skills that we can work on, but not all of them are universal. But there are some. We can talk about this.
Yeah. What are the things that should be definitely learned at every level? So imagine like you're a junior engineer joining a company, even a corporate one.
Yeah.
What are the like the bare minimum that you need to pay attention to aside of the learning the programming language?
I would say things that are never, so we always would have them. You work in the team most of the time. Okay, not always, not most of the time. Sometimes you are a lone developer in a super early stage startup. That's different, but most of the time you work in team. So team skills, what they are. Is the communication. What's the communication? Again, it's the problem is that some of the words are super big umbrella words. You need to clearly state your thoughts so people should understand them. Same happens with, by the way, it's a bit of off topic, but with like English or if you work in the non-native environment. So like in our culture, in my culture, we tend to over not estimate how to say the grammar and speak correctly is really overestimated and over everybody should speak like Oxford stuff, but actually it's not true. In the common environment, in the remote environment, people should understand you, and if you use past tense instead of present perfect, nobody cares. But yeah,
Yeah,
communicate.
that's true as long you're understandable
You
because
understand? Yeah,
it's not always the case. Like
it's not always.
yeah, there are some people from the regions with like low pay ranges. And my experience is that it's probably very hard to understand them because of a accent. Like I'm just not used to the accent. per se. Second, it's really hard to get what is the thoughts they're trying to bear with you. And I personally need to repeat the question several times to understand what was
Yeah,
meant.
exactly. Yes. So basically, working on the team is people should understand you. People should understand what's the thought, what's the idea you're trying to give them. And it shouldn't be painful. Sometimes it's a bit painful. Some people they speak too much or they speak too less. And yeah, sometimes it can be a
Do
problem.
you have an example of this speaking
Yeah.
too much?
Yeah, a lot. So I had a colleague who was even on the simple question. He had a split keyboard like this, not like that,
Okay.
but like a split keyboard. Why it's dangerous? So people who can master typing, they can type a lot, right? or maybe he was using the voice commands or something. But even on a simple question, he was typing a lot. So like the whole like a book of text, even on the simple question. And because with the high pace company and the high pace stuff, it's hard to read like a whole paragraphs of text. Come on, we are in 2024. TikTok, 5 seconds of attention. That's maximum I have. So yeah, it was hard. So I asked him to write like the essence, because he was writing the not only the answer to the question, but also the context and the other questions and other stuff. So sometimes this wonderful book, I'm not sure that it was ever in English, Пиши сокращай. It's a meme inside the meme,
Yeah,
but
that book is actually based on another one that was written like 80 years ago. So something like writing clean in English. I will find it afterwards, but yeah, that's a known one.
if you work in the work environment and you need just answer, okay, what are the deliverables? What the status of the milestones? Like green,
Hmm.
yellow,
Hmm.
whatever. Yeah, or other complaint. Now I see how people not speaking corporate English anymore, and that's a good thing, because corporate English is a bullshit. It's like this big paragraphs of text without any meaning, with the complicated words that you have to Google. Now I see how in many companies and many teams, personal messengers, for example, in crypto, everybody uses Telegram. So even for work related stuff, and because in like a big amount of people, for big amount of people, Telegram is also a personal chat. You start to move your habits from personal to company. And what I'm okay with that, but some people use a lot of emojis. Sometimes it's like too much.
No way.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Emojis in the okay in the corporate messenger.
Emojis and stickers, it's of course it's a vibe check. In some teams, in some companies, it's more relaxed, but sometimes it just sounds a bit ridiculous when hello everybody and then five emojis of dancing, of
Mm.
kisses and hearts and everything. Maybe,
Yo, mate, what's up?
yeah, maybe I'm a boomer. Actually, yes I am, but at least in my soul. But yeah, I'm like, mm, sorry, but we're not friends, we are colleagues. Like at the end of the
Uh,
day, we maybe have a good relationship, but like kissing face, come on.
you know how Zoomers are writing about us when we put those smiles, without the
They call
dots.
nails.
Yeah, nails. The grandfather put the nails again.
Yeah, it's actually, and the smiles without eyes, just it's like more Slavic stuff, because like in US and Europe, people don't use this.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one second. But getting back to this oversharing, I
Yeah.
thought that was a cultural thing. There are cultures with a shared context, so they assume a lot of things and they jump right into the business, like just writing you, "Hey, did you fix the issue with the database?"
Yeah.
I don't remember. And then there's opposite when people assume very little of a context, and they will give you the whole press story, like 5 paragraphs of how you ended up in the
Yeah.
situation, and then ask, hey, you remember the incident that we had a week ago, blah blah blah
Mm.
blah blah. So how's the database?
So I partially agree with you that there is a like a cultural thing in the famous book Erin Meyer of the like a map of the cultural differences. Yeah, there are some cultures with context, more context and less context dependent. But I would say it's more of a pace of the company and the context of the company. So, for example, GitLab, completely remote first company. Everybody is remote and everybody like people in the team can be separated by 8 hours. So I'm in Singapore, someone is in London, someone in California, and somewhere else. And if I write the message without context, and people will be asking, hey, what's that about? We will spend 8 hours, then more jumping back and forth, and we will spend 3 days to fix some bugs. So, like sending a message should be like, and even in GitLab run books, they have this remote first book. I forgot how it's called. You can Google
Mhm.
GitLab remote rules or
Okay.
something. Yeah, they said that the message should have enough context to be solved without asking additional questions. So it makes sense. Uh,
So it's not only personal culture, but
no, no.
actually business culture as well.
Business a lot culture, because what I see in our company, it's a startup. A lot of stuff is happening in the chats, and people assuming that other people are reading this, and this is like a high context, so you can drop one small message without the whole paragraph of text, and it's super fast. So usually the problems need to be solved yesterday, and that's okay. In the small team, like again less 50 people, it's totally okay. In the big corporation, where someone sending you a message, you have no idea who's that about. It's Jenny from the building C, and I'll be like, what? But you can spend more time, you can answer within a week. I remember I was writing to some guy in Google. We have some stuff. So I sent him a message, like an email, and I got the auto reply is that, sorry, I'm on vacation and I will return end of September. But please, when I came, all of the messages, I will delete them. So send your message again after end of September, because all of the old messages will be deleted. And I was like, you can do that? For real? Wow. It was
That's
his
great.
his
Yeah.
level was like high enough to be able to do that. But yeah, so
Inbox bankruptcy, even
yeah,
in the future, not
yeah.
now, but in the future. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. However, like you focused on this necessary stuff, right? So the
Yes.
communication and how to convey the message to the person. So what makes the good message? What makes the good communication? What you should
Ah,
get
there
in the
are
end?
there are like rules of 5C, I believe. Five. I'm googling because I forgot the all of them. Not all of them, but some of them. Rules suggest. Yeah. So it's sorry for. So it should be complete. It's first C. You either assume that people know the context and you know that they know, and you can send a message without context. Should be clear, because if there are some like, for example, to show with that, I had a colleague who was from UK, and he used a lot of idioms, a lot of. I'm not native speaker, right? And my English is far from superior. And I sometimes have to Google what he thought about. And even though it was nice language, full of like a reading a non-fiction book, it was not clear. Sorry, that's I'm under the weather now. I'm not walking in my shoes or whatever, something like this.
It's
I
like raining cats and dogs, like
Yeah, yeah.
being on the
No,
fence, and
yeah, it's not only about idioms, it's about if you want to state something clearly. For example, again, example, we had a meeting. Someone, my colleague, writing the not post-mortem, but like what we discussed. And it was we discussed something, he documented this sending, but not clearly not estimated, summarized who doing what are the action items, what is the next steps, what's the plan. So it was like, okay, we discussed that, and okay, everybody be like, okay, no action items, no anything. And after that, within 1 month, we gathered it again, and the colleague was asking, hey, what's with that and that, because he assumed that everybody like on the same page, but turns out it was not. So it should be correct in the sense of the like grammar, vocabulary, and other stuff. Now these days with the chat gpt and other stuff, it's probably easier, but still, for to illustrate it, I was having a conversation with crypto Digan bros, and their language was like in Discord chat, "Stop you, bro," and something like this.
oh
Mm,
no.
I'm used to that, but it just gives bad smell, I would say.
Not non-professional.
A little bit, yes. Then it is concise. Again, you can write 5 6 paragraphs of text and having one idea. It's a bit like overwhelming these days. Again, as I said, 5 seconds of attention span, nobody will read it. And courteous is that contagious, whatever. Sorry, non-native speaker. It's about, again, that's the same. It's about level. So writing a mail to to business folks or writing a message to investors or something, I assume that they all, I respect them, and our level of conversation is not the same as I speak to my colleagues in the like eating a soup or smoking or drinking a coffee. And this level, I see
What
how
what does it mean? Is it like no jokes, formal language, like a tone of voice?
a tone of voice and more, because some of things that from the cultural perspective they can be okay for you but totally not okay for other people, for other cultures. Again, to illustrate, I was talking with some folks from Japan, and the email, not email, we started in emails, then we switched to messengers, were really corporate like style. But after that, after when we meet in person, turns out that everybody is with the same age and with the same position. And I said, okay, folks, we can continue with that, but I'm okay with maybe lowering our formality to -1 level. But for some of the people, it's just not respectful to send them, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, mate. Same with the folks. It also can be considered as a little bit professional. Now I see in 2024, especially in some of the areas, like again, crypto, it's non-formal, fintech, more formal, some like heavy machinery, super formal. So each industry is a little bit different. But
Is it based on the serious of the business, the consequences? So, like with the medical or machinery, it should be super formal, and with I don't know fun stuff, if you're I don't know working for Pornhub, then you're probably more relaxed on the language.
maybe, but I would say it's more of the system of understanding if you are inside or outside of it. Again, same can be, you can say same things if you're meeting in person, like how you should, what you should wear. Let's say if you're going to more corporate dinner, maybe a shirt would be nice, because unfortunately, again, maybe for those who don't know, I have a second degree in psychology. We when we judge people, maybe you want it or you don't want it, but we judge people based on their language, how they look, the micro, this how people gesture, and the sound of their voice and other stuff, and it gives you a picture. All of the books and everything in interviews, they all say we need to remove biases, we need to not judge people, not to assume anything, we need to judge their professionality. But sometimes it's just super big mismatch. I
Mm.
had this thing, so I had interview with a guy who on paper was like a 20 years in the field, super senior, working with the big name companies, and I assumed his serious level was on the one level, but it was so informal and so relaxed. So I automatically assumed that he is really relaxed and not caring about business stuff too. Of course, it's a bias. That's true, but it's really hard to get out of this bias. And it took me a while talking with this person, understanding is just the way how he works. But let's say, what if someone else, judging by the first glance, oh, the person came in the a t-shirt with anime girls and like saying, "What's up, you folks?" And it gives you a picture. And again, there are two extremos.
Wrong vibe, right? Vibe
Yeah,
mismatch.
yeah, exactly. And there are two extremos of it. One thing is that completely mismatch with the vibe, completely be out of this, and to be super informal in the cases where you should be formal.
Mhm.
When you sign
Yeah,
in it, yeah,
yeah. I have a story
yeah,
about this too. So,
yeah,
like when I was learning how to be a solution architect, I had a colleague who was a solution architect already at
yeah,
that moment, and he lived in Netherlands. And the client of EPAM, which is a huge corporation, right,
yeah.
big service company, where like everybody is very senior with grayness in the air and so on, and like very formal language and so on. But the client of us was a network of coffee shops in Netherlands, not
Mhm.
selling marijuana, but selling coffee
Oh,
actually.
yeah, okay.
And they wanted some software solution, a mobile application from us, and some payment services, so on. And EPAM decided that they don't want to send a senior director for a
Mhm.
meeting, but they actually sent a solution architect who was a young, engaged guy who was like bold and how do you call it? Ginger, yeah. So
Okay.
half bold, half ginger, very informal guy with a
Okay.
leather jacket and so on. And that was a perfect vibe match. They was
Mhm.
like, "Yo, bro, let's talk
Yeah.
business," and so on. So, it's not always required to be very formal and so on, but it's required to get the vibe correct.
Exactly, exactly. And the thing is that we assuming what vibe should be. Like when you're sending your CV to a big corporation, big tech, you assume that they are more formal, right, than less formal. And if you have, I don't know, coffee with CTO of a crypto startup, probably it's less formal and it's a vibe check. It's really hard to work with people with a completely different vibe. That's why we're talking about culture in the companies. Culture is the vibe, the cultural code. In big corporations and big companies, they try to have the rules and to have boxes where they put people. That's why they call corporations for a reason.
But
To
don't we all? We want to know what kind of a person we're talking to.
Yeah, sure, of course. So it's a bias. Again, we can work with that. We can, as a, like a professionals, professional managers, and the professional workers, we we want to get off of our biases because they sometimes they talking about us and not about the other person, but it's still there. Sorry, it's just
What I'm interested in, I buy this whole narrative of removing the bias and so on.
yeah,
But the reason why we have this bias in the first place, it's justified by the nature and by the history of
yeah.
humankind. So if we like, the xenophobia is hurting the current society a lot. However, in the past, it was a necessity for survival, right? If we see a person who doesn't look like us and behaves differently, then it's automatically okay, a sign of danger. So how relevant it is nowadays?
I would say it's less relevant, of course, because all of the biases that we have, they are not true because of the a now the world is interconnected and cultures gluing together. You would not assume that one race is something, another race is different on because of the race because it's complete bullshit,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
And but all of the biases, they are just templates in our brain. And again, returning back to soft skills, that's also a shortcut. So when you make decisions, like our lizard brain don't want to spend a lot of energy or time, you don't have time in the crisis situation to assess something really thoroughly. You do shortcuts. So all our psychology is about shortcuts and how to overcome them in professional environment. So, and that's, by the way, that's also one soft skill that is, I would say, on some levels it is required because let's say if I am up sea level or my decisions are really important, and now I have a short story. So I had a colleague. So we had an interview with some guy. So my colleague was running late. He went to a meeting room, sat next to me, like opposite to the candidate. Looking at him like, okay, and went away. And I was like, wow, what's that? After the interview, the candidate was okay, good. And my colleague was came to me and said, hey, no, let's not go with him. I was like, why? He's an alcoholic. I was like, what? Why you assume that? And he said, hey, he has a like a red nose or something, red face. He's probably alcoholic and he drinks a lot. I'm like, what? How? What the hell? So it's like pure bias. Maybe this person has some skin conditions, or it's winter, and so it's complete bullshit. But yeah, so it was biased. So this person wasn't. So my colleague wasn't based his decision on the like assessing the skills, but assessing the like a
Did,
personal look.
did you hire the guy?
We did not. I was voting yes, but okay, it's not all of the companies that you, especially companies that you work in the early stage of your career, they are not all of them good. Yeah. So long story short, so all of these biases is just a shortcuts, and our professionality is overcome them, and that's the like a soft skill. I would say why soft skills are overrated. I would say also they spread across the ladder. So let's say on the level of intern or starter, you need few soft skills. You need to be a fast learner because without that, it's hard to progress. Probably that's it. Maybe it would be nice with being with nice with the colleagues and not much. But when you climb the corporate ladder, can you imagine being a manager of 5,000 people and not knowing the etiquette rules or the rules of how to impress yourself? It would be giving really strange vibe. So you are VP of engineering, but I don't know, you're super biased. You couldn't talk, you couldn't do many stuff. So the higher you are, the more they are required. But the thing is that a lot of books and a lot of the articles, they need full suit. So okay,
Mm,
you are middle JavaScript developer. Here is the
mm.
top 20 soft skills you need. And you'll be like, I need all of it: leadership, humble leadership, like a coaching,
Yeah,
mentoring, and
yeah,
other stuff.
of course.
Sorry, no, you don't need it. You don't need
But
this stuff.
what do you need actually? You're a middle JavaScript developer, or
Yeah.
for God forbid PHP developer. So what do you need in terms of soft skill to be able to advance further in your career, to be promoted to a senior engineer?
That's exactly a right thing that you said. If you want to progress, because actually not everybody need to progress, and not everybody want to progress. And that's also assumption that most of the companies need people to grow. It makes sense because it's cheaper and easier. But some of the people, they don't need it. And moving to skills, I would say that's the normal stuff. Again, most of the time you probably would work with the team. So it's the communication skills, team skills. Some of the skills you can even overcome. So I wanted to say not to be an asshole, but frankly speaking, I've seen numerous times where complete assholes, they were raised and they were promoted because in some of the companies, you can quote me on that, assholeness or like being an asshole equals to like a leadership, strong hand. This person
Yeah.
knows how to solve tasks, but it's just an asshole.
I used to work for one or two companies where that was the case, and I especially remember. I'm not gonna forget it any time in my life when I had a conflict with a database engineer
Mm.
who was perfectly fine blaming the incidents on the engineers across the whole team. It was like the team of 100 people, and I changed something, like I deployed something. I
Yeah.
don't remember actually, and he wrote a very angry email to the
Okay.
whole 100 people saying, "This is lame. This is not professional. You did a
Okay.
stupid thing." Like I cannot forget it. But yeah, people are getting promoted because they still can get shit done, and
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody cares about the negative impact on the motivation of other engineers because it's like
Yeah.
less visible.
Yes, I agree. By the way, if you have a conflict with database engineer, you just revert the transaction and that's it.
Yeah, or restart from backup.
Yeah, restore from backup. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so to the thing is that on the level of, if we're talking about engineering level, middle to senior, it's really because there is no single definition of senior person. In one company, senior it's one thing, in the other company it's the other thing. So that's why there is no silver bullet. We can assume the best thing and we can recommend the best thing, assuming that like in majority of the companies, to be promoted from middle to senior, you need to be self-efficient, you need to be a fast learner, you should have accountability and ownership of the stuff, because seniority means in most of the cases ownership of something, and communication of course too. So this four would be enough. But again, it's like a normal distribution. So in majority of the companies it's like that. In some extremums, you can be promoted just because you work in the company the longest, or you can be promoted because you are the most annoying person in the room, and managers assume that you know the most or you have the most confidence. These two things go together. So yeah, there's no silver bullet. I would say this four. So it's ownership, self-efficiency, so you can do stuff on your own, communication, and what was the fourth is the educate, so you can educate pretty fast and grow pretty fast on the technical level.
Okay. In EPAM, on those like infinite leadership courses, we
Yeah.
got recommended the book Hungry, Humble, Smart.
Uh-huh.
And it was talking about like hungry, that you need to achieve something, you need to grow, right? And
Yeah.
you want something. Humble is that you don't think you're the smartest person in the room. That resonates with what you said previously, right? And smart, and it means not like technically smart, but actually socially smart, that you can
Yeah.
interact with the people. What and the book called The Ideal Team Player, it basically
Yeah.
says that if you get all these 3 points, that you should be hired, you will be a good team player.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I would say again, in the normal Gaussian distribution, we have people and following these rules. I agree that all three of them, they are good for a team player, right? And you can go with them. I just need to make one. I need to say one thing is that there are cases where people outside of it, they can grow faster and they grow more higher than the others, because for example the humbleness stuff I've seen, for example in C-level folks, in the founders, it's completely irrelevant skill. So I've seen most of the founders I know, they think that they're the smartest in the room. They think that their startup, their Uber killer or something else will win. 9 out of 10 completely ridiculous. And that's the like a standard joke about the founders in Silicon Valley is a Patagonia shirt jacket and like a smartwatch. They do bouldering and other stuff, and they know better what should be done. But it's a required skill not to be humble if you're starting a company, because otherwise what's the point? If you don't think that you are number one, what's the point of starting a company?
So
Um,
that's a great insight. So if you're working as an engineer, like you should be a team player and not impose your like I'm the smartest on everybody else.
yeah,
But if you're starting the company, it's opposite, because you need to
exactly.
be this guy. Okay.
Yes, yes, exactly. And there are, for each and every rule, there is an exception. For example, hungry. That's probably true, but I can find example when you don't need to be hungry. It's the thing when, for example, you're working in more strict environment and changing it each day or each week is not the case. You work in a like a super strict fintech, health tech, or something else.
Oh yeah, compliance is pretty boring.
Compliance, yeah, compliance. Like the rules, you should follow the rules, and to be a number one rule man or team lead, or like the scrum master, or someone whose job is to promote stability in the team, or maybe that's the business decision to have a stability instead of changing stuff. So that's different mindset. And about third one, humble, hungry, and the last one, what was that?
It was
Socially smart. Again, that's probably true for 99% of the people because we work in the teams. Again, I've seen several examples of genius people who are seriously genius working on a such high technical level. I never thought that it's like this famous 10x engineers. Really hard to work with them. They are, inside the world. Silicon Valley TV series. We probably seen it. They don't follow the rules, right? They don't maybe socially smart and this typage of the Sheldon Cooper and others. It's
oh Dr. House, right?
a Dr.
Breaking the
House.
rules but getting
Yeah.
shit done.
But for example, because as you may guess from like guitars on the background, I love music. When you're doing music, you it's really wrong to think that you are the most skilled, you most genius, and you shouldn't obey all of the rules and you should invent your stuff. So there is a healthy combination of acknowledging that before you, generations of people, they studied the rules of nature, of music, of human brain and everything. So these rules, they are there for a reason. At the same time combining with something novel and something different. So you should say the new word and not copy pasting same thing for decades, right? So same you can say about management, soft skills, and the teamwork. There are rules that you should learn and you should try to follow them and understand if they work for you. At the same time, the world is so different. There are thousands of different cases, thousands of different environments. Not all of the rules, not all of the books are true. So you should, and you are not the like a medium middle person who is the same from the different angles. So you are probably unique. So all of this is just a combination of copy pasting Mozart and bringing new stuff, making classical punk rock something else. So it's being rebellious
Nice,
and
nice.
following the rules at the same time.
Okay, okay. So we're talking about music again. Like
Yeah.
one of the previous interviews I had was with Dylan Beattie. So I will add
Yeah.
the thing. And he was talking about the music in the context of software is not art anymore. But yeah, great stuff. Thank you very much. What I wanted to ask is that like when you're trying to get hired to a company, you with a very high chance you will get into a behavioral interview if you pass the
Yep.
technical stages. So, what is the set of the soft skills that you should be training, practicing if you want to pass the behavioral interviews?
Again, that's a complicated thing because what strategies you can have? You can give a social acceptable answers, and some of the companies it's pretty easy. Amazon with their Amazon rules, right? You literally get the book or the article with all of the Amazon principles before the interview.
They have like 14th
Yeah, previously
leadership
they
principles. Yeah.
yeah, previously they have 12, now they have more, probably they will have more in future. So you can train your behavioral answers on this like social model. So you can pretend or you can say like viewing your experience with that angle. So in some of the companies this thing is unknown, so you can assume that in the position, let's say in the manager of the startup, they would assume that you are self-efficient, you can be owner of the situation, you can bring value, you can be tough because it's a startup, you can have guts to fire people and other stuff. In corporate environment, they probably assume that you can follow the rules, you bring structure to the chaos and like all of the stuff. So in some companies it's defined, in some companies it's not defined. You can read along the lines and ask HR, hey, this is the position. What do you require? What do you need? What the skills you need, or how do you see the person in this position? That's a good question because it remove unknown from the position. Because besides of the technical skills, maybe the team structure is different. I've seen various times when engineers like were puzzled why I got denied, why my technical skills are superior, but for some reason after 30 minutes with manager they just refused me. Maybe because the manager has something in their brain saying, okay, probably with the team I need super tough person to give a pushback to product. Biggest issue is that nobody's told you that before the interview, so it's probably nice to ask. Or second strategy, you can just be yourself. Don't invent anything. Just be yourself. They ask something, just reply with something that is on top of your mind. It's this strategy will not bring you fast to the team, but probably that strategy will give you ability to be hired in the team that wants you, right? So
So being accepted for
who you
basically.
are, yeah, without like being having the corporate smile. So depends on what you need. Maybe you are like exceptional by yourself and you can be hired, or the same vibe check. I worked with some folks who used to, the bright example, Ultimate Guitar company, I believe they are in Finland or they in Estonia, I'm not sure.
Oh, I was working on their competitor. Okay.
Yeah, so in the Ultimate Guitar, the vibe check is they do crazy stuff, so pure punk rocks, right? Everybody should be pro musical. Everybody should previously like 5 years ago they were drinking, having crazy parties and every stuff. I don't know how about now. Of course, you will fail behavioral interview if you come with a bow tie and the shirt and be super corporate. But if you are punk and you go to interview to the bank, you will not be accepted neither. Again, that's
So
always
it's a trade-off. It's yeah, if you crave the work no matter what, then you probably need to shape yourself and give the social accepted answers. But if
exactly.
you Yeah, but if you're looking for some place that where you would be happy doing the work, then probably it makes sense to be yourself.
That's true. Interview is such a thing. You try to judge someone based on the 30 minutes or 1 hour of questions and answers. It's always some kind of like a game. It's a cat and mice game when interviewer try to catch and try to prove that candidate is not best. Candidate tries to convince that, hey, I'm the best person you can ever imagine. And we have 30 minutes or like 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
It's always a game of the chances.
Mhm.
So I would say the best interviews I had from the interviewer perspective or from the interviewer perspective, whatever, it's when everybody was relaxed. Nobody tried to be completely opposite of who they are. We were honest. We were saying, hey, that's not what I want, or I want this thing. And it was good vibe because when person is relaxed and not trying to do something they don't do usually, it's the best thing. Same with an interview, right?
So the last question that I want to ask: what are like the three best practical step for middle engineers who want to improve on their soft skills? What do they do?
So first of all, you should be vocal and transparent about stuff. And as same stuff with that we discussed 3 minutes before is about, do not try to be someone who you are not, because you may think that, oh, okay, as a senior engineer I should do A, B, and C, and I should have such A, B, C, and D skills. Just ask, because that's the also skill of working with expectations, working with like a PhD or what they want from you, right? For with requirements, because you may think that you should do one thing but others think the opposite. It's true for any relationship, personal relationships, same stuff. It's better to ask than try to guess what they think. So this is the first thing, just to ask, okay, what's the feedback about me? Do not be afraid, because any feedback is good. If even if it's this feedback is completely irrelevant, it will show you what other people think about you. It's not always true, but it just will show you the way of thinking of your manager or someone else. So it's the first thing. Second thing is how to progress is to be, and we're talking not about technical skills, but more about soft skills, is to be self aware. Because if you know your own limitations, for example, I'm not a, like a greatest talker, or I'm, let's say, I'm not really good in being consistent, or I have some emotional problems or something. Anyway, it's whatever, as a Socrates was saying, know yourself. So that's the second advice. So if you know your weak points and your strong points, it will help you, because you can play, you can work on your like a weak skills, and you can use your great skills. That's the second one. And the third, I would say it is, so you're not growing alone, right? So you always should think about context of where you are and people about you, around yourself. So let's say the team, what's the team structure, what team needs, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and the ways of how you grow and what you need to do. Because frankly speaking, when we're talking about growth in the organization, or there are several types of growth, and we constantly mix them, but they different. So they can be money. So let's say not always you can like being a senior means more money than the middle, because you can jump to other company where the salary is bigger and stay keeping the same position. Money, your title. Again, senior in the small startup 10 people is not the same as a senior in EPAM or Google or Facebook. So you can grow for title, or you can jump off to small startup to get a title and return back with the same title. And the third one is the personal growth. It can be a technical growth or growth of your soft skills. So these three, they are not always go together. So you can think, okay, I want to grow, but what does it mean? Does it mean that you want to have a title of senior, you want to have a skills of the senior engineer, or you want to be like have a ownership and other skills as a senior engineer? So all of Three different companies are different. So third advice is that understand the context of your team, of your surrounding, of what you actually want and what is achievable in the company.
All right. Thank you very much. That was insightful conversation. So we will wrap up. Write the questions in the comments. What is your most underrated soft skill that you're using constantly at your workplace? And leave it if you like the conversation and press the ring bell to get notifications about new interviews that are coming almost every week on the channel. Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.